Pushing Back the Shadows, support and awareness for mental health. Hello and welcome to episode 37 of the Pushing Back the Shadows podcast. My name's Alex, I'm the founder of Pushing Back the Shadows. So today I wanted to talk about the importance of informed choice. Now, it might not sound like a big deal to you, because a lot of people do say, don't they, that we live in the information era. You know, every question you have, whatever's burning in your mind at that point, you can go on the internet, type it in, and the answers will come. You know, Google, Yahoo, Bing, depending on what you use, it'll come. And we almost seem to rely on that, don't we? If we need to go somewhere, Google Maps. If we need to figure out how to, like I did the other day, how to get a stupid rule plug into the wall because it wouldn't go, then, Google, we'll find it. And a lot of people would say that we can't get much more informed than we already are. However, a lot of people do say that when it comes to matters of mental health, the information that's given isn't best. Now, one thing that they do say is that with regards particularly to mental health, doctors and other professionals will tend to just hear that you've got a problem, diagnose it, be it depression, anxiety, whatever, and they'll throw some kind of medication at you. Now, I am using their words, the words that people who tend to have a problem with this would say, because it does feel a lot like you are getting pills thrown at you. And one thing that we find is that there isn't that much in terms of the information. Now, don't get me wrong, some doctors are absolutely brilliant at this. I mean, my original doctor, because unfortunately he left and I ended up with another one, my original doctor was absolutely brilliant in this regard, because when I went in and said I'm not feeling great, and we had a chat and he diagnosed it as depression, he said, well, your options are you can go on medication that can start immediately if you want it to, or if you don't want to go on medication, we can refer you for therapy. Admittedly, there'll be a wait, but we can refer you if you like as well, or you can do both. It's up to you. So I had the choice. I didn't have to go on medication, but a lot of people do say that their doctor just kind of, says, oh, okay, I'll give you a prescription, done and dusted, and there doesn't seem to be that much choice involved. But that in itself is not what I'm going to be talking about. That's not the issue that I want to raise. The issue is about the informed choice. Because we all know that we have the choice. We can choose whether we want to take them, we can choose whether we don't. We have that choice, and we know we do. But in terms of the actual information that's given, that is the crucial element that I need to focus on, or at least want to focus on today, because how much information is actually given? Now, you might be thinking, well, Alex, my doctor was absolutely fantastic. He told me everything I needed to know. And that's great. If you've got a doctor like that, that's brilliant. But not all doctors will do that. And I did have this problem the once, and we'll come on to that in just a second, where the information was not given. And that in itself can actually cause a lot of problems. If you're not given all the information that you need to actually make that informed choice, then it can be problematic. Can't it? But why? Let's have a look. Anorexia, bulimia, body dysmorphia. Eating disorders are not commonplace in general conversations, but they should be. Like any other aspect of mental health, these are important topics that we need to be talking about. So why not join us, Pushing Back the Shadows, from the 4th to the 10th of June, where we're going to be hosting an Eating Disorder Awareness Week, in collaboration with Hope Virgo, one of the UK's authors on eating disorders, and Elle Rose, an American YouTuber who does a lot about bulimia and other eating disorders as well as many more collaborators, while we explore the different eating disorders, how people live with them, and how you can help those who go through them. From the 4th to the 10th of June, more information is on the website. All you have to do is go to pushingbacktheshadows.com/eating disorder awareness. So the problem in terms of informed choice is that there isn't normally that much information given. As I mentioned before, a lot of doctors will go straight for the prescription and hand it over, and it's like, yep, go and take that to your pharmacy, and they'll sort it from there. But they don't necessarily give you all the information that you need. Now, admittedly, whatever you get, there's a leaflet inside, and it's important information, please read first, but I don't know whether it's just me. Does anybody actually read that? But at the same time, it's important for you to be comfortable in the choice that you're making. And if you're making that choice between antidepressants or therapy or whatever else, you need to know about it first. Wouldn't you say? I mean, you think of it in terms of like a business or something else. You wouldn't make a decision without all the information, would you? I mean, it's almost ludicrous to think that you would make that decision without the information. And with mental health, it's not really any different, is it? If you're being asked to choose between antidepressants or any other kind of mental health medication and therapy, you should know the pros and cons. So, for example, therapy is great because it's all, for want of a better word, it's all natural. Because it's just talking, getting your thoughts going, trying to figure out the root cause, and that's another pro. It deals with the root cause. But if you live in, like, the UK, for example, it can take a long time to get into. I mean, I think the last time I heard about the waiting lists, they were something like 3 to 4 months. Which, if you're clinically depressed, it can be a bit difficult to wait that long. But at the same time, you need to know these things, and you're not always told, are you? I have heard a lot of stories about people being prescribed antidepressants but not being told about the side effects, because it doesn't matter what medication you take, there are side effects, aren't there? 9 times out of 10 a medication will come with a side effect, and a lot of the antidepressants come with quite severe side effects. I mean, if I go on webmd.com, immediately there's quite a list of side effects. The common side effects would include things like nausea, increased appetite and weight gain, loss of sexual desire and other sexual problems such as erectile dysfunction and decreased orgasm, fatigue or drowsiness, insomnia, dry mouth, blurred vision, constipation, dizziness, agitation, irritability and anxiety. And I'll just have a quick look to see whether it gives me any others on here, because there are normally quite a few. There can also be like risk of suicide on some of these things, and it's one of those things that a lot of people have heard bits about but don't necessarily know much about. Others can be like confusion, agitation, muscle twitching, sweating, shivering, diarrhea, high temperature, seizures, irregular heartbeat, things like that. I mean, these do come with different effects as well, like hypernatremia, and serotonin syndrome, those sorts of things, and those are potential health risks. Psychosis is another one that you tend to hear about more commonly, and it's one of those things that you hear about the side effects, but nobody actually goes through them. Now, I mentioned earlier that this happened to me. I was finding that the sertraline that I'm on wasn't quite doing enough. It was doing something, I knew it was doing something, but it wasn't kind of bringing me into that stable level place that I felt I needed to be in. And I talked it through with kind of the mental health hospital, the psychiatrist that I was seeing, and they said, well, alright, we'll put you on quetiapine, which is a mood stabiliser. So that's fine, okay. If you think it'll help, that's what I'll go with. And I started taking it, and I got the worst headaches ever. I mean, you wouldn't believe it. You know the kind of headaches you get? It's almost like a migraine. You can't move, you can't even think straight. You're having difficulty speaking because your head is hurting that much. Those were the kinds of headaches I was getting, and I went through about 2 weeks of this before eventually we got back in touch with the doctor, because I know that a lot of these medications take a little bit of time to work through your system, and you can then say, okay, do you know what, the side effects are diminishing, that's great, I can cope. But these showed no sign of diminishing whatsoever. So we phoned the doctor up, and it was a case of, well, yeah, quetiapine can induce the headaches. That can be one of the side effects. Now, your options are, if you do want to come off it, that's fine. But, and this was a big but, and I was really quite cross with this, but you may still get the headaches for the next 2 weeks with withdrawal effects. Or, you can keep taking the medication, and within the next 2 weeks the headaches should start to subside. It's like, okay, so really I'm in a catch-22. You've told me that I will get headaches for the next 2 weeks, regardless of whether I choose to come off them or choose to stay on them. How does that help me? I mean, I ended up making the decision of, no, I'm coming off them regardless. As it turns out, quetiapine is actually one of the best out there for the mood stabilisers, and if they put me on the right dose in the first place, then that would have been helpful, because they put me straight on at 50 milligrams. If they put me on at 25 to start with, then that would have been a lot better, and I'd have actually got somewhere, because I've since gone back on them, and everything's a bit better. But really, if I'd been told this in the first place, I could have weighed up the risks. Do I want to go on this knowing that I might get these potential side effects? Do I want to go on them knowing full well that I might not be able to come off very easily? But by the time you're on the medication, and you're taking them, and you're experiencing the bad side effects, you're kind of already in that situation. You have no choice but to go through another tunnel to get out the other side and be able to actually stop taking them. It all comes down to the information that you're given. Because really, as I said, we need the informed choice so that we know what is best for us. We need to know what the potential side effects are for us as individuals, so that we can weigh up, is it worth it, or is it going to make me worse? Because I'll be honest, the 50 milligram dose, starting me on that straight, because admittedly that's what I'm on again now, but they've built it up slower, starting me straight on 50 milligrams and giving me those migraine-like headaches, it made me worse. I couldn't get out of bed, so I was beating myself up for that. I couldn't do anything that I was supposed to do, and it just heaped more and more pressure on. And really, it made me worse. I mean, okay, now I'm in a better place, because as I say, it's been built up slowly, but it could have been avoided with the informed choice. But it's not all cut and dry like that, is it? Informed choice can be quite a difficult thing, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Because really, informed choice can be so difficult. You're listening to Pushing Back the Shadows. So the problem comes, as I've already mentioned, there are loads and loads of side effects. And this is the thing, those side effects are not all going to happen to you. You know, if you take an antidepressant, you're not necessarily going to get the feelings of indigestion or stomachache or diarrhea, constipation, the dizziness, the not sleeping very well, or being incredibly sleepy, or the headaches, or whatever. You're not going to get every single one of them. At least not unless you're extremely unlucky. The side effects themselves, while they are all listed as part of the drug, the side effects themselves are not all for each person. Like mental health being quite unique for each individual person, the side effects that you get, again, are often for each individual person. Now, I know that sounds strange, but hear me out on this one. My partner and I both take sertraline. We've both been on the same dose, and okay, whenever my dose has been changed, I've been very bloated, gassy, having indigestion for the first couple of weeks while it's in the settling in period. But then after it's settled in, I've been fine. You know, I take it, no problem, whether on a full stomach, an empty stomach, it doesn't seem to matter. My partner, on the other hand, has had stomach aches and indigestion every single time she takes it. Or most of the time. She seems to get quite a few stomach problems because of it. And those are different for the pair of us. It's different based on, based on how our bodies work, perhaps. I'm not too sure on how it really works, but different people get different side effects from the same medication. And so that in itself makes it very, very, very difficult for doctors to say, well, yeah, do you know what, if you take this, you're going to get this, you're going to get that, you're going to get the other, because they just don't know. And given that the list of side effects can be so long, it's really difficult for them to go through all of the side effects with you to tell you what you may or may not get. Okay? So really, it stands to reason that they'd put the leaflet in the box and say, you look, read the leaflet, that'll tell you all you need to know. But really, in my mind, I don't think it's really too much to ask for them to give you kind of a brief nutshell, you know, a rundown list like I've given you today. And they can say, well, look, there are potential side effects, this is what you could come across. Would you still like to proceed? Because then you can make your decision, can't you? You can say, well, actually, no, I don't think that one's going to be for me. I think I'd much prefer, you know, going off the therapy side of things, waiting for therapy, which effectively is what I did to begin with. I decided that I'd rather wait for therapy rather than go straight on the antidepressants. Now, even though my situation eventually dictated that I go on the antidepressants, I was still able to make that decision because I had the information that I needed. I knew that there were possible side effects. I didn't know which ones I'd get, if I got any at all, because some people are lucky like that. But I did know that there were going to be potential side effects. So I was able to say, well, actually, do you know what? I'd rather go down the route of therapy first and see what that does. It's all about the information that we're given. So, really, we can make those decisions as to what path our mental health course of treatment will take based on the information that we're given. And something that tends to escape a lot of people's minds is that we have the right to ask. I know I certainly forget it, but we do have the right to ask. Just like we've got the right to say, no, I don't want to do this particular treatment, be it therapy, be it medication, whatever it is that we're being offered. Just as we have the right to refuse that, we have the right to ask for the information that we need. So, if you're listening to this and your doctor's trying to put you on a new medication, yes, you've got the right to say, no, I don't want to take that. But you've also got the right to request the information that you're after. You've got the right to ask for all your options. You have that right. You may not necessarily always feel like you do, but you do. It's all about the information. And if you're in any doubt, just ask. Because at the end of the day, your own treatment is the most important thing. And this is going to sound a little bit selfish, but when you're in that room, seeing that doctor, you are the priority. You know, it doesn't matter about, Mrs. Jones with the chest infection, or Mr. Smith with the stinking cold. You're the one the doctor is seeing. You have the right to make the most of that appointment. Because really, if their conditions are that bad, they've got emergency services they can go to. So it's not quite as harsh as it seems. But you have a right for your treatment to get the right help that you need. Whether that's a case of, getting all the information that you need to make sure that you can make that informed decision, or whether it's, making sure you get to the bottom of the problem. But at the end of the day, you can ask for more information and you can make that informed choice. I hope this has helped you, because it's something that, as I say, has been weighing on my mind quite a bit, especially after my debacle with the quetiapine. But that's all from me for this week. I'll catch you next week for our next episode 38. And then I'm just going to double check the calendar, but I believe, actually, next week... Yeah, we've got next week, then we've got the week after, and then we're into our Eating Disorder Awareness Week, where we will be featuring content from Hope Virgo, from Elrose, from Hannah Brown, and much, much more. So you're going to want to stick around for that. I'm sure you'll have heard the advert in this episode already. But definitely do join us for that, because you never know, you might learn something new. I know I certainly have. Okay, but that's all from me. You guys have a good week. You take care, and I will catch you next week. But in the meantime, we do have posts going up on a Monday, videos going up on our YouTube channel on Wednesdays, so you never know, you may want to check some of those out as well. Alright, you guys take care. You've been listening to Pushing Back the Shadows. To find out more, head over to pushingbacktheshadows.com and hit subscribe to get all of our latest updates straight to your inbox. Alternatively, connect with us on Facebook, which is facebook.com/Alex Davis PBTS, or you can visit us on Twitter at Alex Davis PBTS. Enable Pushing Back the Shadows to continue supporting people in the mental health community, their friends and their family. By pledging just $1 a month, you could help us to continue supporting people with depression, with anxiety, with bipolar and other mental illnesses. You can also unlock exclusive rewards, behind the scenes, sneak previews of upcoming posts and much, much more. So head over to www.patreon.com/Alex Davis PBTS to find out more.